Speaker. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am so sorry. Was in a meeting, lost track of time. Let me get. Why is it not recognizing the owl? It's on. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through my computer. So let's see. Test speaker microphone. Sorry. It's coming through my computer. I don't know why it is not recognizing the owl, because the owl's camera is there. Give me just one more second. Let me see if I switch. All right. Will somebody say something?
Something.
I appreciate that. And it appears, yeah, no, it's not it's just my computer. It was because the meeting was started before I logged in.
It should be.
No, it shouldn't. I mean, it's just weird that it's not even recognizing. Unplug it and replug it in. It's not recognizing the speaker or the camera. Oh, okay. Yep, there we go. There we go. Okay. So high tech. Just unplug and restart. That's all I got for tricks there. But it usually works. Okay. I was gonna pull all this stuff up on the computer and I was not able to. So I'm going to copy of the minutes. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's see who we have here. We have Fran and Robin, Trisha, Kristen, Jim. Jim was here. Did he leave? Wayne said he was not going to be able to make it. I did not hear from Lisa. Oh, Rudy's here in person. Okay. So I'm not sitting in a room speaking to myself. It's always appreciated, always appreciated. Okay, good. So I've got the attendance here. We are recording. We'll go ahead and call to order a little late. I apologize. So did everybody get the minutes that I emailed out?
Yes.
Grabbing my copies I threw out. So if I could have a motion to approve the minutes?
There's one, hang on, there's one thing. The motion to approve the last minutes is, it says it was moved by Trisha and seconded by Trisha. Now, I'm sure we can't remember who did what when, but it probably shouldn't say that.
Thank you. No, I didn't catch that.
Such a control
I
freak.
can just write it down and so I can go back and figure that out. I didn't do the minutes and I didn't catch that when I was reading, so thank you. I appreciate that. I'll go back and figure out who that was. So we will, can I have a motion to approve them as corrected? Once they're corrected? How's that?
That's good.
All right, so who made that motion? Anybody?
I thought Rudy did, but I talked over him.
Okay, Rudy made the motion. Robin, did you second that?
Sure.
Okay. Were there any other corrections or comments?
Looks like you took the minutes course that was just offered, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering if,
That's pretty good.
oh, you know what? She didn't sign them. Usually she signs them. I'll add that. It was Mandy that, Amanda that did the minutes. She usually does our minutes. And
Oh.
she usually signs them. And I didn't actually notice that she didn't, so I'll add that as well. I must have been going too quickly when I was looking over. Thank you. Any other corrections or observations? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed?
I'm abstaining. I wasn't there.
Okay. That's actually, I've often wondered about that, if you have to abstain from approving minutes of a meeting that you didn't attend. And if, how that affects your quorum. And does anyone ever oppose approving minutes? Like, that just seems odd to me, but, right, because you fix them. I don't know. Just,
But I'm not sure the minutes relate to the quorum. I don't know that there's a corollary there.
yeah, I don't know. And if too many people abstain because they weren't there, you'll never get a quorum to pass it. That like, yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, I'll see if I can get the answers to that. But let's go ahead and move on. So reports on activities, what I've been up to, I have not done the last month for the new homeowner mailings. I meant to get to that, and today I was doing other things, so. Newsletter went out March 1st. Did everybody receive it in their mailboxes? Yes, okay. I heard from one resident that did not. I meant to ask her if she asked the rest of the people on her street, you know, if it was an anomaly, but we'll always keep an eye on that. I did hear, and Lisa said, quite a few people stopped at the market. The cover article was about affordable housing. And a lot of people were asking about that article, so that was, which is good. That's the idea, is to get the information out and to get people asking and talking about it. So that's good. Arts Council continuing to meet, working hard on the restaurant week, which is on our agenda, so we'll talk about it more there, but doing outreach to the galleries. Interesting little sort of snafu that I don't want to say snafu, but as we've been reaching out to all of the different restaurants and the galleries, the idea of a restaurant week is to have it while the restaurants are slower to help create some business. And we were actually even shooting for March, but didn't get it together until April. But now what we're finding is with the galleries, they're still slow, and like some are still by appointment, some hadn't scheduled to have things up yet. I mean, thankfully, the Art Association is fully up and running. Hen's Nest is always open, like we have things, but a couple of the other galleries like Judy Black and KMR Arts, and even Eckert, they're still on their very seasonal hours. So, it's just food for thought. It's our first one, and so I don't know if this will help them kickstart their season, or if we want to, you know, see how it goes this year and then just keep that in mind for next year. Anyway, it's been kind of an interesting thing that we learned on our outreach there. Arts Council is also working on the cultural district, establishing the cultural district, working on that paperwork, getting the map and everything together. So that continues. I leave affordable housing on the agenda, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more down under new business, but oops, and then I didn't remember that. But just because it is a topic in town, it is something that has come up for us, and it's one of the commissions that I help facilitate. So the Housing Commission's meeting last week, we had Lindsay from the Center for Housing Opportunity for Litchfield County come and talk, presented a playbook and a toolkit called Building Community Support for Affordable Housing in Litchfield County. And it's a booklet that they put together about how to make the case and how to talk about affordable housing and really kind of change the conversation and engage the community. So that was a really helpful workshop. And also the other thing I wanted to mention, I'm glad you're here, Fran, for the WBA. We will be co-hosting a home dedication celebration for Habitat for Humanity, but it's going to be in June 29th, and there will be 2 and possibly 3 new homeowners being celebrated at that time. And the Housing Commission is going to help host this home dedication. It's going to be here at Town Hall so that people can come. There are going to be light refreshments. It's a Saturday from 11 to 1, so like a midday Saturday. And the Housing Commission is going to use it as an opportunity to sort of talk about affordable housing, answer questions people may have. But we thought it might be nice to put together a welcome basket for these new homeowners, welcoming these new families to our community. And the WBA used to put together welcome baskets or welcome bags with varying success. You know, I helped distribute some, gave some to the realtors to distribute and to Sheila Anson, our town clerk. But I just thought it might be nice for at least to put these 3 together for this Habitat home dedication. So I'm sure the EDC would be willing to help. Fran, do you think the WBA would be receptive to doing that
Yeah, the
again?
WBA is talking about resurrecting that idea, but I'm sure they'd be receptive to this particular initiative, even if the whole thing isn't off the ground yet.
Great, awesome. That's kind of what I thought, you know, because we've done it before. We could probably whip together at least these 3, even if the whole program isn't fully resurrected. So thanks. So that's what's happening on the affordable housing front. Sustainability, I think I mentioned last time that the Sustainability Committee is working on an Earth Day newsletter to talk about all of the things happening in town that the Sustainability Commission is working on, or that we have done. We're hoping to report out some of the numbers on the recycling at the transfer station and the different initiatives up there with the composting and the glass collection, et cetera. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, I didn't bring the folder down. One of those days. So I attended a Main Street conference last week in Hartford, and the Main Street organization is a really wonderful organization here in Connecticut that focuses on helping downtowns fill their empty storefronts, helping the existing businesses that are kind of struggling, recreating the Main Street that was really struggling as the big malls and box stores were going in and the downtowns were kind of suffering. And we definitely saw that in the after the housing crisis and the recession in 2008. So they have wonderful workshops that they hold, and this workshop was about blight and vacancy. So I thought I would attend just to kind of see what tools are out there. There's some blight ordinances. I know that has come up a bunch here in Washington with the Wickham property that has fallen into disrepair, especially after the fire, you know, and people often ask the selectmen, why can't we do anything about it? And we don't have an ordinance. And there's state statute that allows communities to establish blight ordinances and to give some real teeth to finding people who are not taking care of their property. But they're geared for towns of 15,000 and over, so we're not eligible, but they're considering changing that. But at the workshop, they also talked about the State Historic Commission and some of the money available through the Department of Economic and Community Development for historic rehabilitation, and there are several communities that have used that to restore some like historic inns that are in downtowns. So so it was really informative. I'm not sure there were, I'm hoping that there might have been some things there that we can use here. We've got a few places that are empty. Excuse me. So I'm gonna kind of take a look and see if there are any grant opportunities to kind of move, see if there's something we can help with moving things along here in town. I will be attending the CT visit, the State Office of Tourism's conference next week, to learn about all of the tourism dollars that the state is spending to promote Connecticut beyond our borders. And I had something I wanted to share with you. I don't know that let me just see really quick if I can find it. I was gonna have this all pulled up on my computer, but I got called away. Because the state is really, the state spends a lot of money on promoting, the state of Connecticut, outside of Connecticut into New England and beyond. And, it's always important for us to know exactly what they're doing so that we can hook into their latest initiatives so that we can see, you know, what they're looking for. I might be able to pull this up. Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to share this. It's not the easiest. If you guys can see what they're seeing here, this frantic share, frantic. All right, let's see. So this is just an email form. I had the PDF. I was hoping that I would be able to share with you, but. How can I make this so you guys can see it? Are you guys seeing this email?
Part of it.
Yeah, okay. I had it open as a PDF, but I wasn't able to load it before I got here to the meeting, so I'm trying to minimize, expand, just so you can have a sense of what I'm talking about here. So, all right, I apologize. This is so small. Let me try to extend this window. All right. So, this first graphic shows that the economic impact that the tourism dollars that the state of Connecticut is spending. They've calculated that the impact that they're having is worth $17 billion of economic impact. That's the entire state, obviously. That's revenue from restaurants, hotels, tickets, everything. So we can take a look here. The state spends $4.5 million promoting tourism in Connecticut. They're showing, so Connecticut is in orange and the state of Maine is in blue, just for a reference. Percentage of the overall state budget that is spent for Connecticut is 0.018, and for Maine is 0.22, and then this is the impact of those tourism dollars. Right here, so you can see that, $17 billion. There we go, growth in the tourism industry. This is where those dollars are being found, or where, you know, where those dollars are being spent. So visits, lodging, CT visit traffic, they're counting, and you'll see this dip here. Guessing that's COVID? Yes. All right, so here's the timeline. Again, I'm so sorry that I was not able to pull the PDF of this, and we're like trying to see it through an email. But they're just showing that the traffic on the website, when they say PR impressions, an impression is usually any sort of face-to-face, whether it's a flyer or a email or a website, any kind of contact impression, anytime you're in front of somebody's eyes. I think we saw in one of the Explore presentations, they were showing us the CT visit video that they made that was playing in the subway in New York City and in Boston, and so those would all count as impressions, you know, getting in front of people's eyes. So we can see the overall growth here.
But COVID sure contributed.
Yeah,
too.
right, well, that was a big challenge, COVID
Yeah.
for lodging, for visit, you know, you think about all those
Yeah.
theaters that were dark for almost a year, sports venues,
Yeah. it's true.
right, it really, that was a real challenge, so,
But if you go back up to the bar chart though,
yep.
it's interesting, this economic impact just flips.
I know.
I don't totally understand, do you?
So basically what they're saying is they're getting more bang for their buck, like they're doing a better job.
Wow,
Like they're only spending
Huge.
$4 million, but they're seeing this level of
yeah,
impact, right?
so what are they doing wrong in
In
Maine?
Maine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, so I know, I lived there for 4 years while I was in college. If you think about Maine, it's more remote.
yes,
And a larger portion of their economy is tourism. You know, it's huge summer influx along the shores and the parks. It's a summer destination. Whereas I think Connecticut has more year-round stuff. I don't think Maine has a huge skiing, there are a few ski hills, but most people go to New Hampshire or Vermont, right?
Yeah.
So, so I think they have to spend a fair amount of money to see the return.
Yeah.
It's just harder, it's more remote, and the season is shorter, right? Whereas we have things going on year round with the theaters and the casinos and the sporting events and whatever it is, you know, it is my guess, but this is where I'm gonna be learning more about it next week when I go
could
to
be
that.
geographically because of Maine being so huge, spread out or something, that could be part
I
of
mean, the
it.
thing is, Maine could still say, we're spending $23 million for an impact of 10.3
Yeah.
billion on our economy.
True,
Right, and anytime, so successful tourism helps the businesses, which helps the community, because it's employment, right? So it's like a feeding, it's a cycle, right? So keeping all of the industries that go into your tourism healthy helps your local economy by creating those jobs and everything. So I would still say it's a good investment by the state of Maine. But
Yeah.
what they're pointing out is that Connecticut's just seeing more bang for their buck.
that's more effective,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, whatever it is they're doing. I mean, yeah, we're closer to New York City, we're closer to, we're closer to some population centers, so it's probably, their job is probably easier. But they're doing a good job. And then this graphic here was just highlighting some of the recognitions that the state has received. It's talking about, #1 pizza in the nation, #1 state for hiring, casinos outside of Las Vegas. There was another one. Oh, Mystic Seaport is an outdoor museum. #1 state for hiking in the US, which I find amazing. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So what CT Visit is doing is promoting these awards beyond, they're using that in their tourism, just like we do here in Washington, whenever Washington is voted as one of the best small towns to visit, or, talked about with Gilmore Girls as a place to visit. Which then brings business for the restaurants, and so they can stay open.
#1 destination spa in America, that's interesting.
It is,
Yeah.
Winvian Farms.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Right?
Is that, yeah, that's
what it
right.
says, Winvian Farms,
Yeah.
ranked #1. Now, let's see, that one shows who, that looks like Traveler Magazine, like, I don't know who voted on some of these. Download a copy, yeah, so I had downloaded this on my computer, sorry. Anyway, so I'll bring back more information. I'm gonna go to their conference next week. They're gonna be presenting more about their strategy, what's worked in the past and their strategy moving forward. And so just so you know, Julia at Explore is super in tune with what's happening with CT Visit. So she knows what they're looking for, what kind of blog posts, what kind of pictures, because they reach out to the state at large and say, hey, our next promotion, they're always a season ahead, which is what makes it challenging. We talked about this with our photo contest. We always need pictures, we need winter pictures in the fall, we need fall pictures in the summer, because they're always developing the next thing. So we have to have sort of a reservoir, a bank of these ready to go for the next article or the next blog or whatever it is, planning your top 10 places to go this fall or road trips for the weekend, whatever they're. So CT Visit reaches out and gives sort of the theme of what they're looking for. And so Julia at Explore is on top of that so that we can be featured whenever possible. All right, sorry, that is just, I'm gonna have to probably do it again. I had another PDF of the SEDS loaded, but not loaded. All right, any questions about some of that stuff? Kind of what I've been working on a little lately. All right, let's go on to the regular agenda. I had a note here. I just wanted to share with you. Okay, so budget process. I just wanted to let you all know, we made our budget request last month and it's with the selectmen. And the first thing that's gonna happen is on April 1st, the Board of Selectmen will be presenting to the Board of Finance their initial budget. And, well, I'll just go through the whole dates. And then April 15th is when the Board of Finance is scheduled to vote on the budget. If they have not completed their work, they'll schedule an extra meeting after that. Sometimes they get to a yes vote at the end of that first meeting, and sometimes they need a second. But they need to be ready in time. They have to have something to put forward by May 2nd, which is the hearing. And then the town meeting to vote on the budget is May 16th. So that is the process. And everybody is welcome to come. Residents of Washington are always able to make comments. And it just came to my attention a few minutes ago that apparently the Explore Washington website came up at the Board of Finance meeting last night. Which is not new, that has come up before in the past. People kind of question the expenditure on that website. And that is something that the EDC and the WBA worked really hard on quite a few years back, maybe 6 years ago. I'll get the exact dates to build that website and the following it has. So it would probably behoove us to attend some of these meetings to make sure if there are any questions, we're ready to answer those. I will say that, all of the metrics, whenever Julia comes to present to us, you know, the traffic, the increased traffic and the stories and the things that have been most engaging to the public. All of those presentations are on our website, under economic development. I have to double check and make sure I got that last one up there. Pretty sure I did, but, so we can take a look at those, and I definitely would refer everyone to those metric presentations. And she usually presents every fall and every spring, so twice a year she'll come and just let us know kind of what is happening. That actually, on that topic, I want to thank both Kristen and Trisha. There you are, it's like you were there. Who I don't know, you guys either read a lot of magazines or you've got us on a Google alert, but you both seem to see whenever Washington has been honored with making a top 10 list or top whatever. It was Country Living was the last one where I think they had the top 10 or 15 communities in Connecticut for visiting. And Julia knew that that was coming online because they had reached out to her and requested pictures, which I spoke with her today. She was really bummed they didn't actually use the pictures to send them. She sent them a huge folder. But what we talked about doing is adding on the Explore website and in the press tab. So we've got what's new, and we have all of the town's newsletters archived there. But we thought it'd be nice to have one place. She often will mention these articles in the blog report, in the blog posts that they do 2 of each month. But you know, those go further down, and they're also mixed in with a bunch of other things. So we're gonna create a tab that's in the press where we can highlight not just all these amazing articles that we've been featured in, but also some of the social media articles that we've been tagged in, so that we can just see kind of and look back at where we've been highlighted. But lately it was Country Living, a Farm magazine, and then Connecticut.
Yankee magazine too.
That's right, Yankee magazine and Connecticut magazine. We test small towns. So in the last 6 months, I'm sure all of those will be highlighted in her next metrics presentation, because those have all been, I think, since January. So this last quarter, that's quite a highlight. And the reason we are on their radars is because of the push out that Julia and Explore does with the social media posts, and making sure that they're creating blog stories that feed into the CT tourism feed, so that it's amplified beyond just our mailing list.
Yep.
So thank you to both of you for sending those articles. Any questions about the budget process and how that works? It's the same every year. We have Liz here, who is a member of the Board of Finance, so can also probably answer any questions if we have about the budget process. All right. Next on the agenda, Restaurant Week. I kind of touched on it before. I will try to send out to you all I've got some copies here of it's all coming together, I guess is what I should say. The committee with Zoe and myself and Victoria from the Arts Council, we've reached out. We have almost 100% participation of the restaurants. We're having, there are 2 that we haven't been able to make contact with. I'm a little concerned about Inari. They've been closed the last 2 weekends, or at least on Thursday and Friday when I tried to stop in, and there's a note on the door. So I'm hoping that things are okay over there. We're hoping to bring them on board. And Michael Ferreira, who came and spoke with us last month, spoke to the people at 202 Tavern, but not maybe the right person. Like the manager wasn't there, and they sent, and then he sent an email. So we've reached out several times, but everyone's pretty excited and they're getting creative about getting some art on their walls and getting some menu specials put together. We also have, this is an example, I'm so sorry, I don't have it up on my screen, of the flyer that's going to go out. So we have yard signs will be going out, flyers will be going out. The website is live. I'll send a link around. It's being built though, so a lot of the information is not really it's not open to the public. Being built now as restaurants are signing up, as their menus are coming in, we're adding that information. So the goal is to be live with everything by April 1st. Does anyone have questions about the restaurant week? No, okay. We will have another meeting before it, because it's April 19th to the 28th, so make sure you mark your calendars and watch. There will be flyers and there will be posters, and we'll be meeting again before then, but I just wanted to let you know it's all in the works and coming together. Okay, questions? No?
Are we having a photographer at Restaurant Week?
Oh, it's a good idea. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because Julia and I were just talking about a photographer, because we need some pictures. We have lots of nature pictures, which is great, of Washington, but we need some like storefront, shopping, restaurant type pictures for articles and blog posts. That's a good idea. I have not talked to anybody about doing that. Maybe we can find somebody
And some
local.
food shots would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Let me do a little thinking about that. I can maybe reach out to see if we can find somebody local who would be willing to like stop in at the different restaurants and get some shots. It's a great idea. And if anybody has any ideas or names that they want to send to me as well, that would be great. Okay. The next item on the agenda was to talk a little bit about the SEDS, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, which was just adopted last week by the Northwest Connecticut EDC and then endorsed by the COG. The COG voted to adopt it, which is it's important because it is required by the federal government in our what is this abbreviate? EDA, Economic Development Administration, requires that we adopt this plan. This year's plan is much larger than previous year's plans. It looks a little different. We have a new economic development director at the COG, Marista Malaka, and she, I think, did a fabulous job. I was on the committee helping put this together. And it's a big job to sort of wrap your brain around this. I wanted to explain first, because I know Wayne was taking a look at it, and our previous one was much smaller and had much more targeted, very small goals of like, I remember it talked about creating the food hub and working on the website. But the goal of this SEDS was to be a little bit broader, to really look at economic development for the whole region in a broader sense of what we need. And part of the reason for that is that when we're working on grants, whether it's the sidewalk grant that I've been working on, or somebody's working on or an affordable housing grant, whatever it is, the more planning, if you can point back to how it's as part of your strategic goals for your region, for your town, which is why I wrote POCD. We're going to talk about that in a second. The stronger your grant application is, right? So it was really designed to take a a look at the goals of the region as a whole, knowing that this economic development, committee of the COG was not gonna be able to achieve all these, right? So I sent it out to you. I'm hoping you all will be able to, pull it up. I wasn't gonna dive too deep into it. I just wanted to look at the executive summary. And I could try, if you give me a second. Wait, that's not what I meant to do. I'm gonna try to pull it up on my screen because I just think that helps. Let's see, is this one? Goodness, this might work. Okay, are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay, great. So this was what I sent to you, and you'll see, it's 85 pages long, so it's long. It's gonna take us a while to kind of work through it, but there's some good data in there too. They included a lot of sort of employment and population data, so that's helpful. That's part of why it's so long. But I wanted to go to the executive summary. Where's Mayflower? Good to see us in the regional plan, right here. All right. So these were the top themes and just the top, I want to scroll, shoot, can we make this bigger? Okay, there we go. Goal 5. All right. So top 5 goals for the region. And I wanted to just point out how they line up with where we are in our progress on our town plan of conservation and development. And, you know, maybe talk about either places they don't line up or things that we feel that we need to strengthen, because for those who may have forgotten, this year is the 10-year town's plan of conservation and development is due. And so we have been working, I've been focusing mostly on the economic and community development, but I do attend all of the planning meetings, and there are other sections in the POCD that are also important. But I thought it was interesting because the #1 goal for this regional one is to address the housing needs of the region, right? So that's familiar. It's coming up everywhere, and it is the #1 goal for under economic development that was added this year. So the very first issue under economic and community development was, it says business and educational leaders in Washington have universally cited the lack of suitable housing as their primary obstacle in attracting and retaining quality employees. So the whole region is recognizing the issue of affordable housing and the need for housing. And I just wanted to show you how, you know, we were in there first, right? But our goals are aligning with what the region is seeing. Goal #2, to encourage business growth and expansion. And in our POCD, we've carried forward, or in the draft that we have, carried forward goals from the previous plan, the first goal being to stimulate economic development while maintaining rural character. So, and then our second goal is to promote local and regional economic stability. So those are carrying forward into the next POCD. Goal 3, to support workforce development that aligns talent with the needs of the regional business sectors. We have to, when we were developing this, we talked a lot about how we are rich with educational institutions, and there are opportunities to make sure that we're lining our education, that we're tapping into those educational resources and making sure they line up with the needs of the businesses. And we have a really wonderful example of that here in Washington with the agri-science program. We've got students training, working in their classrooms, doing hands-on, and outside of the classroom doing their SAE, what does that stand for? Supervised agricultural experience. So they're doing internships all around the communities. So we have sort of a nice pipeline for that, but we also, beyond just agri-science, we've got the Frederick Gunn School. Here we have a lot of education happening here in our community, as well as our public schools. So just opportunities to make sure that this development aligns with what our business sectors need. So goal 4 in the regional plan was to increase tourism to the region. So it was to bring people into the region to experience the restaurants and the hotels and inns and the arts offerings that we have. So obviously that's just a business creator. And then goal 5, strengthen the creative economy, which in our current POCD, we talk about nurturing our creative economy, because that's something we have here in Washington. We have a lot of artistic and creative organizations, mostly organized as nonprofits, but some as businesses as well. And that's been part of the goal of the Arts Council, which grew out of the EDC, is to promote what we have and make sure that they're all getting the exposure that they need to be successful. So strengthening that creative economy is helping communicate their programming, but also making sure that the infrastructure is there that they need to do what they need to do. So that's a real sort of top line look at the region and the goals that the whole Northwest corner put together. And I think there's some really good information in this plan, and we can kind of take a look at how we tie into that and tag into that. Does anyone, that was a whole lot. Does anyone have any questions about any of that or comments? I know there's a lot to digest here. If you just sort of scroll through. So the first part talks about just the process of putting this together, but then well, in here, I'm just gonna highlight one thing that really frustrates me. This is our COG right here, as outlined by our populations. Let's see, oh wait. Yeah, I want it to fit on the screen. I want you to see the map. What frustrates me is that our COG, which is our Council of Governments, does not line up with our county. So it is sometimes a little frustrating and challenging to remember, like, for example, New Milford is in our county, but not in our COG. And I think there might be some of these communities on the right. Like, I'm not sure that Heartland, Barkhamsted, New Hartford, and Burlington are all in Litchfield County, but I'd have to double check. So anyway, it gets a little confusing sometimes. But the COG is what the state recognizes as sort of our pseudo county government. So that is how monies are distributed. So just always find that sort of interesting. But here, I just wanted to show you, there's a lot of good data in here talking about household income, population. As you go towards the back, there's housing information, employment information. So some good data that we can use if we need to take a look at what's happening in the Northwest corner. But I'm not going to go through all 85 pages with you now. I think it's a good reference, and we can look back. We can use it as a resource if we're thinking about an initiative or looking for data to support something that we're working on. And I think, yeah, we can use it as sort of a tool as we put together our POs, our town's POCD. Any thoughts or questions on that?
This is
Is
great.
there,
That was Trisha. Here, I'll stop sharing. So we can all see each other.
I saw something on transportation, is that something, is that, it just said transportation, is that what part of the overall?
So transportation is something that kind of, that comes up there. So Torrington is our the largest community in our COG, and they have public transportation. We don't, and sometimes it comes up as a challenge. For example, the state has really focused a lot of their affordable housing dollars and their community development money towards transportation hubs, which we're completely out of that because we don't have buses or trains coming through. So it just eliminates those for us. We've thought about and I've talked to Rista at the COG about, cause she's like, how can you guys not even have a bus? I was like, "I just don't." But there's a bus system in New Milford, and there's one in Litchfield, and 202 connects the two. So, I wonder if there's a case to be made for connecting,
That's what I,
and popping down 47 to do a depot drop run and then back out. I don't know that the numbers are there to make it viable. I don't know. We haven't done, the research. I know that transportation is a challenge for our businesses trying to find employees.
yeah, that's what I was thinking,
Yeah,
that might, you had good transportation connection somehow, would that help the, the potential new employees and so on?
I
Right.
don't know.
Hmm.
Somebody, no, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it seems logical that it might help, but can you run a whole bus if you're bringing 5 people to and from work? And can you find times that would be right? And would it be only for the people in the depot? I guess anybody up and down the 202 corridor or into the depot and out, that's most of our business. That's where most of the employees would need to go. And pretty universally, there's sort of an 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 type. So probably could stop running midday. I don't know. It's worth exploring. I know Rista at the COG wanted to talk to me about that, but first we had to get this plan put together. She just took on that position several months ago and had to get this plan done. Like she was on a tight deadline. So I think it's worth thinking about. I don't know, Fran, do you have thoughts on that as our business owner rep here today?
I think you nailed it when you talked about the numbers. And I'm not sure, I mean, are our employees coming from New Milford and Torrington? I mean, they could be, but I think the numbers are probably too small to have it really make sense unless it was being used for other purposes as well. But even then, I think it's a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the economies of scale. We're just so small. But it's frustrating because it's like a self-perpetuating, not that we want to grow exponentially, we don't. Our business districts are very small. We're not planning to expand them. But you can't get that critical mass that you need without offering something, right? That's so,
Fran's right, it's a catch, what she's saying is correct,
yeah.
it's a problem.
I mean, I'm not sure how successful this will be either, but the housing issue, I think,
Yeah.
is offers more possibilities. Whether it can happen or not is another question, but in terms of if you have people as part of the communities or adjacent or whatever, I think it's the thing that's probably more realistic.
I agree. and more helpful. I mean, unfortunately, because we're out in the country, we just are a car community. It's pretty challenging not to have a car. Sort of regardless, but the housing would make a big difference.
Mhm.
It would bring people closer. And it would, yeah, make a big difference. For everyone, not just the employees, but for our seniors who are trying to downsize or for, yeah, young families. So I agree, Fran, that's probably the place to focus energies. Yeah, any other thoughts on the economic development strategy? I just want to say it was a really interesting process for me to sit in the meetings with some of these people there. It was really remarkable people doing some really great work, all throughout the northwest corner. If you look on page 7 under the acknowledgement, you'll see that there were people that represented larger organizations like Ed Advance or the Northwest Arts Council. But then there were also business owners, mayors of larger cities. So it was a really interesting mix. It was to kind of think about what the region as a whole needs. So it was I felt like a really great learning process for myself. Appreciated that. If there are no other comments or questions on that, well, let's see. Oh, Jim keeps popping in and out. He was here again and then he's gone. Fran, do you want to share anything from the WBA?
I mean, in the minutes of the last meeting, Trish was going to report on the annual meeting, the dinner at GW. It was well attended. It was fun. Everyone was happy to get back together again. New board members were elected, and the first board meeting of the new board is tomorrow morning. So things are being organized and getting ready to roll, and I think everyone's pretty excited about it.
Good. That's great. It occurred to me as I was thinking about Restaurant Week, and the Arts Council had some great ideas, but also you can bring this to the WBA, Fran. We are gearing up for the new season, right? Because our busy time is the spring, summer for our businesses. So I'll take a look in my office to see how many guidebooks we have left. But we want to make sure that we get those out to all the restaurants in time for Restaurant Week. We're also, I was talking with Julia today about getting ready for the postcard that we've done for the last couple of years of all of the events happening this summer. So yeah, I'll take a look, Fran, to see how many of the guidebooks that we have left printed. I'm hoping it's enough to get us through this summer. I think I have like 2.5 boxes left in my office, and I don't know if Lisa, do you have a box, Fran? I feel like you had one.
I mean, I've been distributing. I mean, I haven't been distributed. I don't have that. I don't have that many left. I mean, I don't have what I would consider a surplus. I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling. Like I've been trying to keep people in stock. The Market and Marty's seem to be the places where I go through the most. Zoe and the
we pass
pantry.
out a lot.
Yeah, and actually I have them on the outside of town hall, and it was slower for January, February, but I kind of notice how they disappear, and they'll go in waves. I can tell when the Gilmore girls are out, they'll disappear. But yeah, but there's no sense in them sitting in boxes. Like we may as well make sure we get them all around town for the busy season to come, especially for the restaurants with this Restaurant Week. We're really hoping to introduce some of the Washington restaurants to the community outside of Washington with this week. Any other, oh, I would just also say, add that the, block party, which is the WBA and Parks and Rec event, first Friday in June, which I think is June 8th. Does that sound right, Fran?
I don't have a calendar in front of me.
Yeah, I feel like it's June 8th. I'll double check, 8 or 9. So just that I did talk to Liz the other day to make sure that that is happening. The band has been secured and they are starting to meet about that.
It's the 7th.
Is it the 7th? Ah, thank you. Thank you for
It can't
checking
really
in.
be the 9th because 9 is more than 7, but yeah.
Oh, you're right. It's first Friday. You're so right. I really thought it was the 8th, but I was close. It's the 7th. Okay. So June
So
7th.
logical, Robin.
So mark that on your calendar. That's an evening event. It's kind of like Holiday in the Depot, but with nice weather. So concert on the lawn, businesses open, activities for the kids. Judy Black will have a movie night after it gets dark. So
Arts Council is planning activities.
say that again?
The Arts Council is planning activities.
Yes, and the Arts Council is trying to figure out what to do. Yes, but they want to make sure that they're providing an opportunity for engagement with the arts. So thank you, Fran. You're right. Forgot about that. Any other business? It's too bad Jim had to pop off again. I know, I think I said this last time too, they've been very, very busy with the budget. The reevaluation has made it a tricky one, the timing of it, because of all of the appeals, the grand list is not yet set. And so they feel like they've kind of got a moving target. They know there's a range, but it's hard to nail it down. And I know that there have been some, unplanned expenses, we have some big things coming up. So they're trying to make sure that they balance the initiatives that are on the table with making sure that they don't hit the taxpayer too hard. So, but no matter what they set the mill rate at, it's gonna affect everybody a little bit differently because not everybody's assessment went up at the same percentage, that's a challenge, some people went up 30%, some people went up 50%. If you set the mill rate at the average, some are gonna pay more and some are gonna pay less, and so making sure you're keeping that all in balance is a challenge. And I know, Liz, you're gonna be talking a lot about that. Right? Yeah. All right, I have nothing else on the agenda. Did anybody else have any other business to bring forward? No? All right. Great. So I guess, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Second. Liz, second. All right, thank you all very much. 4:07, pretty good.
Bye.
Thank you for making the time. We'll see you guys. See you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, stop the recording.